And then 30 pounds, 20. Yeah. It's like Russian nested dolls of dogs. Okay, now. Okay, got it. What I need to say to you? I'll tell you what I'm going to say. But I don't know. But basically what I'm going to say is just like how great last meeting went. And I think I appreciated it. Kind of took the fire out or just lowered the temperature. It was nice for everyone. And that I'd like to continue to see that with James's leadership.
That's so positive.
Yeah. And I used to
They're like, wait, and what's the problem? You gotta get to the, because we're
I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. We have all of our members present. Petrie is absent. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on our agenda, we have the approval of minutes of the August 21st, 2023 regular board meeting, August 24th, 2023 special board meeting, and the September 11th, 2023 special board meeting. And those minutes are in your packet. Does any board members have any questions or comments concerning the minutes?
Yes,
Mr. Judge.
yes, thank you. On August 21st, there was a bylaw change. This is item number 8. Revision to the bylaw. It shows the 4 votes and then motion carries. That's incorrect. There was no vote taken because you need 5 board members to change bylaws. So this needs to be revised to show that this was an item on the agenda, but it was tabled, it was postponed indefinitely was the motion. It was just postponed indefinitely. So that was carried. And then, I'm sorry, forgive me. I'm looking at this. It's right. I'm sorry, Sarah.
Because the motion was postponed.
I'm a half a step behind today. Yep, I'm a half a step behind. No, okay, so I was looking at it like we passed the measure. We did not pass the measure. Okay,
No,
forgive me. I'm
the
sorry.
motion
Thank you.
postponed was
No, that's correct. I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir.
I have a question.
Ms. Orndorff.
Are we approving each one individually or as a group?
I think we can do them in global, if we don't have any changes
I was
to
going to
any of them.
abstain from the first 2 since I wasn't here. Is why I'm asking.
Okay.
And I do have public comments.
Okay. You want to, well, we can take them up separately. That'll be no problem. So we have no further questions from the board.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just need a couple more minutes, please. Okay. That's the 21st. Thank you. I'm finished. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from August the 21st, 2023.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Ms. Orsamar and a second by Mr. Judge to approve the minutes of August 21st, 2023. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. We rolling. Thanks,
He
Hubert Broussard for the record. Per the board's bylaws, section 3, the library director shall act as secretary treasurer of the board and shall keep a true and accurate account of all proceedings of the board meetings, shall issue notices of all meetings, shall prepare detailed minutes of each meeting, and shall have custody of the minutes and other records of the board. The minutes of the August 21st, 2023 board meeting omitted recording the board fired the director, Danny Gillian, in executive session, and therefore needs to amend the minutes to reflect the board's action in order to, quote, keep a true and accurate account of all proceedings of the board meetings. I also have comments regarding the 9/11. Do I wait for that motion?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
That was it.
Okay. So we have a motion concerning the August 21st, 2023 minutes by Ms. Arsenal, second by Mr. Judge. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have an abstention by Ms. Armbruster. Motion is carried.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from August 24, 2023.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Ms. Arsenal, a second by Mr. Judge. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With an abstention by Ms. Armbruster.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from September the 11th, 2023.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Ms. Arsenal, a second by Ms. Armbruster. Any public comment?
Yes. Hubert, sorry, I lost my paper. Broussard,
No problem. I won't take your whole 3 minutes. Hubert Broussard for the record. The minutes of the 9/11/2023 special board meeting are not posted on the website and are therefore not available for public review, and therefore cannot and should not be approved tonight. Thank you.
they were on the website as of this morning.
Thank you,
They
ma'am.
weren't
Thank
on
you,
the
sir.
website as of this
Not
afternoon.
Not John. Not John.
So all in favor?
May I ask a question? May I ask a question, please?
Yes, sir.
What is the legal requirement to post the minutes that day in 24 hours? Or is there one as long as they are posted?
I have to look that up. I only offhand know the agenda, the notice requirements, the minutes.
No.
I'll check.
Okay.
But you might want to call brief recess on that because it'll take me about 5 minutes.
Can you circle back? Can we move on?
Yeah.
So we have a motion by Ms. Arsenal and a second by Ms. Armbruster. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Do we have to wait? I'm sorry, do we have to?
We don't have to leave.
So next we'll have the interim director's report and comments.
Lots of papers to shuffle. Okay, recent staff changes. Devin Malasson was promoted as Regional Library Branch Manager at West Regional Library. Moniz Dakota was promoted as Library Associate 1 at North Regional Library. I was appointed as Interim Library Director. The library is in various stages of filling the following positions: Librarian 3 at South, Librarian 2 at Main and West, Librarian 1 at East, LA 1 at South, LTA 3 at Main and North, LTA 1 at North, South, and West, Director's Executive Secretary, Building Superintendent, and Library Director. The 100 Days of Reading Summer Challenge wrapped up on September 8th. Overall, we've had 2,504 patrons register for the reading challenge with a total of 92,390 days of reading logged. 1,357 readers completed the challenge by reading 30 days. 919 readers went the extra mile and read for 50 days. 561 readers went above and beyond and read for 75 days. And a whopping 262 patrons read for all 100 days. We'll be drawing for the grand prize winners very soon. Friends of the Lafayette Public Library gratefully report the conclusion of another successful sale and thank the community for their sustaining, continuing support of this book sale event. And in line with President Kylan Jordan's Getting Back to Basics theme for the year's work, beginning with revised bylaws approval, setting the tone for new organization within the support group founded in 1994, the Lafayette Public Library Foundation is exploring a strategic plan to maximize the continued work of the foundation. Committee work is gearing up in major events. And that is all.
Thank you, ma'am. So next we'll have our facilities update and financial report.
You need me to help you.
Okay, the main library roof replacement project, we processed the final retainage payment, which means we are finally officially done with that project. There were no liens against the general contractor, so everything is clear and you're good. For the South Regional Library upgrades and renovations, we are waiting on the construction phase of the project, same as last meeting. This is normally the longest phase of the project. The architects and engineer have to really get the details right before submitting to Public Works at the library. We met with the architect and an interior designer to discuss the areas of carpet replacement, and we simplified what we're going to do. Instead of the 7 to 8 different types of carpet being used in the children's department and the teens area, we've narrowed it down to 2. It's going to help simplify cost and maintenance long run. It'll still look good and still be bright and colorful. It's just not so many different colors and different types of carpets. We expect to get the construction documents from the architect sometime in October, so finally going to get there. As far as the North Regional Library upgrades and renovation project goes, we are waiting on the design development phase to be submitted to by the architect. We were waiting on the mechanical engineer and electrical engineer to get together and coordinate their plans and specs so that they can phase things together. Because we're going to be replacing a lot of the mechanical equipment, they have to work very closely together, and that's what's been holding up the process on that project. We have a meeting scheduled with the with the architect team, engineering team, library staff, and Public Works on September 26th to discuss this phase. After that meeting, they should be able to submit the design development phase to us. So both of those projects are moving forward finally. For the Northeast Library, we request an official appraisal be updated to reflect the 6 acres to be purchased, just for official documentation, so we have everything squared away. We notified Public Works, Xyler Architects, and 720 Design of the actual land to be acquired. And we also notified them that there would likely be a reduction in the scope of work to construct only a 12,500 square foot building, unless things change in the future. I confirmed that an as-needed contract was still in place for a surveyor, so that's all still good. We just have to order the survey after we meet with Public Works and look at the property one more time to kind of go through where the property line should be. And Public Works mentioned something about a possible drainage servitude passing through the rear end of the property, so we'll try to avoid that if possible. So that's all. We're just going through, checking everything off before we officially request the survey to draw up the lines. We meet with the surveyor and Public Works next week, and legal is working on the agreements and ordinances. Here at the main library, we also had some window leaks. If you may have noticed, I think the lift is still out in the parking lot. Recent rains brought in a good bit of rain through some of the windows, and we had to have an emergency repair costing us about $6,700. Also at the main library, the elevator in the penthouse, the AC unit in the penthouse, elevator penthouse was leaking because of a overflow drain that backed up. Luckily, we caught it fast and we were able to flush the drain, and the only thing that was damaged was the ceiling tile, so we're good on that. At North Regional Library, we had a variable frequency drive fail on air handler unit number 2. It's going to cost about $4,800 to replace, and that unit is running 24 hours a day on bypass to keep the building cool. So probably have a high utility bill this month. That parts are on order. It's just waiting on parts scenario. And then also the very heavy gate to the courtyard at North Regional Library fell off its hinges. No, it was random. I looked at the video footage. It literally just fell off the hinges. Luckily, the kids weren't around it that were outside, and they reported it to the staff. And we reinstalled it. It was weird. It was very weird. But no one was hurt. It's back in place, so we're good.
Thank you, sir.
And then I also have a financial report. As of September 12th, 2023, we collected $12.7 million in revenues and spent $9.7 million in revenue. And if you want to compare that to last year at this time, we collected $11.2 million last year and spent $9.4 million at this time. But if you look at the O&M, we're behind. Our O&M are less than what we were spending last year. It's mainly capital that's pushing our number a little ahead, and that's because we replaced the roof on the main library. Also related to finance, the parish and city council did not adopt a budget. The votes failed, so I've learned that the parish, the joint council plans to introduce the budget tomorrow night again, and then hopefully adopt it by October 3rd. And if they do that, we'll be okay on the timing of things, and we won't have to do that mandated 50% of your budget becomes your budget in the new fiscal year. I think they're gonna hash it out, and we'll have our budget in time. Yeah, I think that's all I have.
I have a quick question for Mr. Angel, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Judge.
Mr. Angel, the North Regional Library, one of the upgrades was a new roof, if I'm
Yes.
not mistaken. And if my memory serves me, I think this board approved that about 2 years ago or more to put a new roof on it.
As part of the project.
That was part of the project?
The
That
whole
wasn't
project.
the entire project?
Correct.
And based on what we have right now, what's your best guess as estimated to actual start of project perhaps?
I'd have to look at it. We're at the end.
And again, look, Larry, I'm not asking you to give, well, we're gonna start on this date, just best guess, ballpark if you can.
It's hard to tell. We're in design development phase. After design development phase is construction documents phase, which is the longest phase. Typically, construction document gives the architect about 120 calendar days to complete.
That's 4 months, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
120. Yeah. It gives the the architect and engineers 120 calendar days to complete the construction document phase. Once that's completed, it's submitted to library administration and public works. We review, give us a month. If everything looks good, we submit to you for your approval at the next regular board meeting. Yeah. Then it goes out for bid, which has to then be reviewed by the purchasing department, depending on their workload.
That's 3 more.
Could take
That's 9
a
months.
month or two. Once purchasing approves it, it has to be publicly advertised for 30 days by law. So
We're a year away.
you're looking at a year, maybe a year and a half.
So it's
because we want
3 years to do this work.
this-
Best case scenario, 3 years. I mean, we approved it to do it.
We also stopped the project because we were expanding the project. We were expanding the building at first, but we stopped the project, downsized everything.
That was early on.
was.
in 21.
I have a timeline if you'd like.
2021.
Yeah, I have this all documented.
No, I didn't do. I'm just looking at where are we now and trying to get.
Yeah, you're looking at about a year
We're about a year away.
before somebody's,
Puts a nail in it.
oh yeah.
Okay.
Which is why when I first came to you about the roof, I had 3 prices on hold, ready to go to just put a shingle roof on there for about 50 grand. And I had purchasing approval to go, and, you know, I figured, you know, what the general public doesn't understand is how long these things take. So
Right.
when I say we need something, I say we need something because it takes about 3 years to get something done.
Yeah, we changed it from a shingle. We looked at a shingle, but we decided to do
decided
metal
metal.
because of the long-term, the
Correct.
longevity of it.
Correct, and that's
Right.
what we're gonna get.
Right. And then you don't have a 15-year roof you're replacing because it lasts for 50. I sense it.
It's
Okay.
a long process.
All right, so we're at least a year away from this being done.
And we want to avoid the summer months. So construction may actually start in fall versus summer.
Yeah.
Because summers are peak months.
Right, gotcha. Those are the big months when you have them.
Huge crowds.
Okay, thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you very much for the time.
Okay, thank y'all for y'all's reports. Next on new business, appeal of patron ban decision. Board will be asked to take action related to appeal of patron ban decision. So, I don't think we've handled a situation like this before, but, and there's a patron here? Is a patron here? Okay. Would y'all, I guess we should have them address the board, possibly, or?
Executive session.
I would generally treat it kind of like an administrative hearing, have them come, you know, make sure they understand why patron was banned, address the board can ask questions. If they want to hear from Sarah about the justification for the ban, they can ask her questions. So I would just very informal kind of discussion about it, and then, you know, y'all come to a point where you're satisfied, we can deliberate and take a vote on what to do.
Okay, perfect. So, do you wanna go first, or
I don't mind going first.
just so the board can all understand the situation?
So on August 21st, at the North Regional Library, around 3:43 p.m., which is a time where that branch has anywhere from 50 to 80 middle school and high school students, because the community center next door is a drop-off point. So it can be, I've heard the word chaos used a lot to describe the branch during that time. But around that time, the patron here tonight, Sebastian Renz, punched another teenage patron in the groin. It left him on the floor for 25 to 30 minutes in apparent pain. From my managers that reported on the incident, they immediately approached him because they had noticed that the other team had sprayed Sebastian with some body spray, also in the groin area, so they were approaching him to handle the situation and tell him that's not appropriate or whatever, however they were going to handle the situation. Before they could get to the teenagers, Sebastian punched the other teen in the groin, and he doubled over. A few minutes later, he was on the ground. At this point, management walked away with Sebastian. Other staff stayed with the other team to make sure he was okay. I was not there, so I'm only reporting what my manager said took place afterwards. But the manager reported that she asked Sebastian if he saw any other approach to the situation, and he said it was a matter of respect, and asked how else was the other team supposed to learn. And through her conversation with Sebastian after the incident, and the fact that we really have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to any type of physical aggression, fighting, assault, she called Danny Gillane, who was the director at that time, and he approved a 1-year ban. The next day, he was no longer our director, told her that a 1-year ban was not inappropriate for any type of physical assault, but I would look into the matter and let her know. I talked to the managers, I talked to other managers to see how they would have handled the situation as well, just to see if it had taken place under your supervision, how would you have done it? I talked to the manager that handled it, I reviewed video footage, I looked at the incident report, I looked at past bannings to see how we handle similar incidents. For the most part, 6 months seemed to be the standard ban length. I think there was one that was 3 months. The 1 year is usually reserved for any like full out fist fighting. So I did call her back, told her I would be reducing it to 6 months. And then at that point, he'd be welcome back to the library. I did let her know that if she was not satisfied with my decision, she could appeal to the board. I emailed her my decision in writing and gave her the patron behavior policy.
Thank you. Would Sebastian or Ms. Pence like to address the board?
Please.
Okay, come on up.
First of all, thank y'all for at least talking to us about this matter. Yes, the incident did occur at the library. There are a lot of kids that hang out and go after school to the library. I think it's a exaggerated amount of time. They talked about the kid was on the ground after the incident. My son kept being taunted by this kid about getting sprayed with body spray. He has an allergy, has sinus issues, stuff. I said, please don't spray me with the spray. Kid kept teasing him on the spray, He wound up spraying him. He reached over and punched him in the groin after being told not to spray me. The boy did fall down. They did get the librarians that came in and talked with him. And they're right back to being friends again. It wasn't like there was a malicious fight that they got into. And also, the kid that sprayed him got a 1-week ban. My son got a 1-year ban, which was, of course, reduced down to 6 months. Just for a first-time offense, I just think it's a little egregious.
I've considered my actions towards this, and I've decided that there was definitely other ways that they handled it. It was kind of an in the moment thing, and I wasn't really thinking about it because it's taunted a lot. But I do believe I could have done that a different way, and I apologize.
Thank you. Thank you all for addressing us.
Thank you very much for taking the time to address us.
Does any board members have any questions for Ms. Monroe?
Comment.
Mr. Kelly?
Sebastian, it takes great courage to come up and admit fault and to understand that you're going to handle that better. I like the fact that your dad is standing by your side to address that matter. And I can tell when a person is sincere about a situation, especially when you and the guys are now friends again. So I would ask that the board would consider lessening that time to maybe 3 months, if possible. Based upon his demeanor today in front of the board, I do sense that he has learned a valuable lesson from his actions. That's my comment.
Thank you, sir.
I was asking if the director of the library of the North Library was here.
She is not.
So is that a motion?
But I
Mr.
will
Kelly?
say
I'm sorry.
North Regional is experiencing some short staffness. I believe she's closing tonight. I don't think she could be here.
Okay. Because I would want to know what she thought about this, because she is the manager of this library. She did agree for the sentence to be reduced from 1 year to 6 years, and she based this on the policies that they have for infractions. And based on Miss Sarah, she decided to agree to the 6-month ban, and I'm gonna have to stand with the manager at the regional library with her decision and Miss Sarah's decision for the 6 month. I know you're sorry, and I believe you, but there are consequences for our actions. And I do appreciate you standing up here and apologizing, so thank you for that.
I have a comment also, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Listen, I also have 2 teenage boys in my house, so I understand that rough housing is a thing. However, I do, given all the reports, it was externally documented, as far as I can tell, from what the manager and Ms. Sarah has given us, and I do believe that what Ms. Sarah did was appropriate. I trust that her judgment was right in reducing it to that 6 months. Also, Mr. Daniel also pointed out a good point. We appreciate the sincerity of Mr. Sebastian's apology and his parents being here today. But like I said, having boys myself, we also teach them, there's consequences for their actions. So we do appreciate you coming before the board tonight. It says a lot because y'all could not have came here at all. Y'all could have just maybe submitted a written memo. But I'm going to stand with the interim director's decision to keep the 6 months at this moment.
One more comment, please.
Sir.
Thank you, Ms. Sarah, for reducing it down from a year to 6 months. Question for you, so what do you use the library for? Is it for homework, studying, and how important it is this from 6 months to 3 months? How would it make a difference in what you're trying to accomplish in education?
This year in particular, there has been a lot of hardship, so I have been doing this thing. A third of my homework there, then I go hang out with my friends, mess around with them, maybe outside or inside the library playing a game on the computer, or running around in the parking lot just playing with them. But that's really it.
I asked that question to make sure that he is not using the library for educational purposes, internet purposes, based upon what he has in front of him for schoolwork. My colleagues believe that 6 months is sufficient, and I'm gonna stand with that as well. I would like to, I'm a more grace-giving person, especially when a guy with his dad comes up and makes a comment like that. I think it moves me with more compassion, but I do stand with my colleagues. I want to keep it at 6 months.
One more comment or question.
Yes, sir.
Would he still be allowed to at least use online services?
Yes, as far as I know, the library card should still allow online services. They are set to a patron account type as BARD. I will have to look into that. I know it does not let you log into a computer in a library. I can double check for online resources, and we should be able to find a solution.
Right, we were just physically banned, but I wouldn't want, if it could be online, maybe that's an option that we could still allow. The board is okay with that.
I have a question, Ms. Sarah. You said you looked at, there was some videotape that you looked at, and then you reported. That was part of the entirety of the investigation that was done, correct?
Yes.
Did you have an opportunity, or did is this part of the documentation where both of the 2 boys that were involved in this, were they interviewed, or the particulars discussed with them as well?
From my understanding of the event, Sebastian was taken into the manager's office and talked to, and she asked him a few questions. Why did you do this? Did you not think there was a better way to handle it? And that's where he waited until his parents could come pick him up. The other teen, he was on the floor from 3:43 p.m. to 4:09 p.m. according to the security footage. I cannot attest to what his pain levels were. All I can tell you is what I observed was that he was on the ground for that long. But I know he was talked to about not spraying other teens with the body spray, and that both teens did apologize to each other on their way out of the building.
Okay. Thank you for coming tonight very much. I know Sebastian is a young man. It's tough to stand in front of a group of adults that have to make a decision about this. my general thoughts are that this is an operational concern, and typically would not upset it if, unless it was something really egregious and out of the norm. I think, Sarah, thank you for your diligence in the way you've investigated this and the time that it took to do so. So thank you for that. I'm really heartfelt that you have to sustain this time period, but at the same time, it's very difficult to not consider that these rules are in place for the safety of everyone and they have to be obeyed, and the consequences associated with it are pretty well spelled out. So with that, I think everybody's kind of on the same page with it. I don't want to, very difficult to try to second guess the administration and the way they handle it. Again, it would have to be something that was really sort of out of bounds for the board to really take action on this. Again, it's an operational thing, and we want to allow the library staff to operate on these daily basis types of things. So again, thank you so much for your time and coming tonight, and it's well appreciated. And you do not have a poker face. I'm glad you expressed your sincerity and regret at what you had done, and thank you for owning up to it and acknowledging that. That's a mark of a real gentleman. So thank you.
If I may,
Ms. Booster.
I'll echo Mr. Judge's last comment. Sebastian, I'm glad you're here, because if you were not here, it wouldn't have been a difficult decision to make at all. So thank you for coming. It does speak to your character and of an attitude of repentance. And also, as Mr. Kelly said, for your parents to be here. Thank you for being a part of active part of his life as well. It is difficult. It's an unfortunate situation. I would love to say, bend the rules, but I do feel like, as Mr. Judge said, those rules are in place for an order. There is a big chaotic situation at that branch in particular. So I do feel like, consequences are deterrent for the person committing the offense, but also for others. And I do think that we should stick to the recommendation that was given. But thank you for coming.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the interim director and the manager, the North Regional Library Manager's decision for a 6-month ban of the library. If I need to rephrase that, Ms. Page?
No, that works.
I'll second.
So we have a motion by Ms. Arsenal and a second by Mr. Padron. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Can I say
I'm
one
sorry.
thing? This is with the, Ms. Monroe, you're going to make sure that if there's any kind of educational resource needs that we can assist with, like.
Yes, I'll see to it that his library card can still access our online electronic resources and databases as well as ebooks.
Thank you for that.
So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it and the motion is carried. Next item on our agenda is library book discards from June through August 2023. Yes.
I want to thank Ms. Sarah. I asked a lot of questions, and I asked so that I can understand the process of what goes on in the library system. It is not in any way to try to cross lanes and of responsibility, but I have a very curious mind. Anyone who knows me in this community and my work I do, I ask a lot of questions. So I do appreciate your answers. And you did answer some of my questions, and I asked that the report that's given for the discarded books, that a few columns be added to the report so that we could just have an understanding, and at a glance we can see what books are damaged, outdated, or superseded, just because I'm a curious person. And I asked that when the books are discarded, that the amount that's associated with those discarded books be at the end totaled. There's a price that's given for the books, but there's not a total amount for the books that are being discarded. I'm curious. I just want to know. And I think y'all are doing a great job because I looked at the whole list. And y'all are pretty much, this month I see books that are 7 years old, 6, 5, 4, 3, a few 2 years, some 1 year. If I had it my way, I would like to see books stay in the library 3 years and then be considered to be discarded. And y'all are pretty much following that to begin with. And I know it takes a lot of time, energy. So I do appreciate everything you do. If there's anything of the request that I have made moving forward, if you can help us with, just so we can understand things, I do appreciate it.
I've already spoken to our technical services supervisor. We can add the branch column saying what branch it was discarded from. It's less of a column and more of a, he will run the report 9 separate times and then combine it. So it'll add 1 to 2 hours of work to his workload, but he can do that, but it does require running it 9 different times because it's just not set up to separate it that way. We can add the total of the books being discarded. That's something that I can give. He said that's really easily done because it's the PDF y'all get generated from an Excel spreadsheet, so we'll just do a function for that. The one that is a lot more difficult is saying why the book was discarded. When we pull a book, it is for a very limited, finite amount of reasons, but the system's not set up to say it's because it was damaged, it's because it's outdated, it's because we got the 6th annual edition and this is the 4th annual edition. It's just because it's discarded. So we would have to look at the system and come up with a way, which I don't know if it is possible, and then how much extra work is that adding to my librarians who are already short-staffed and juggling many different things on their plates.
I appreciate that, but I have to ask. I wouldn't be Ella if I didn't ask. There was another thing I wanted to know. They're all mixed in, adult books, children books that are being discarded. Is there any way to separate the two so that adults and the total for those? I'm just curious, y'all.
Probably. Since that information is already generated in the spreadsheet, it would probably be a simple sort function. I would have to look at the spreadsheet. But if it's already information given, it should be relatively easy to sort it and organize it that way. It's whenever we're adding new information that becomes difficult.
And I do appreciate everything y'all do. I know y'all do a lot. I don't understand everything, but I'm honestly trying. Thank you.
And Sarah, do we have the total?
The dollar amount?
Yes.
It was $21,848.10.
Oh, just how many books are going to be discarded from June through August? I'm sorry.
Let me pull up my email real quick.
I have it in front of me.
Yes.
1,631.
Okay.
May I be recognized, please?
Mr. Judge.
Ms. Sarah, one of the things that came up was books that had been here that were there less than a year, but apparently nobody was checking them out. It's kind of like, well, maybe these weren't good.
I actually have that on my to-do list to investigate. Usually that is because an item came to us already damaged.
Oh, okay, I see.
They're mass produced. I've literally opened boxes before and a book is missing the middle or they cut it too short and you're missing half the sentences. So if you're looking at a book that has 0 checkouts and it's discarded in under a year, and that one is only we had for 2 or 3 months. I want to say it had like a June or July date. I want to ask my acquisitions manager about it, but based on my previous experience, it's because the item came to us damaged.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That cleared up a lot. I was just trying to go, give them a little bit longer than that, but, so you could get a binding that's off or something like that, and just
Yeah.
weird.
Weird things. When things are mass produced, a
Sure.
lot of stuff can go wrong.
Sure. And then the other thing is, you may have a book that's available in one branch and may not put it in other branches because of facility, shelving space, floor space, etc. But it's still in a loan where that book can be checked out. Let's say you have a copy of something here in Maine or South, but it's not in West or East or North perhaps. But somebody in one of those branches can order it and it's sent to them and they can get it from there, correct?
Yes, they can place a hold either with a staff member or on their own. And if it's on the shelf, and on the shelf where it's supposed to be, and our staff can find it, 24 to 48 hours in your branch of choice, depending on where you are on the transit run. Because the van makes the same transit route every single day, Monday through Friday. Saturday, they take out the smaller branches that aren't open. So 24 to 48 hours, if the book is available, you will have it in your hands at your branch of choosing.
And in doing that, that allows you to have a larger collection, correct?
Yes, and that's why we make decisions, Maine and South, we always put more books there, and then we'll pick the other branches for supplemental copies. The bigger branches might have more than one copy. If we're discarding something and it has so-so circulation, but it's damaged, someone decides to take a bath with it and drink some wine, we're gonna get rid of it. But if there's still 3 other copies, we're not gonna reorder it because that money could go to something that's either in higher demand or to a new book that's just been published. So yeah, we definitely take into account what copies are at the branches around the system and the demand.
Thank you.
Any other board comments?
Well, I'd like to motion that we approve the discarding of the June to August 2023 books.
Second that.
We have a motion by Ms. Arsenal and a second by Mr. Padron. All in favor of any, I'm sorry,
Do we have public comment?
public comment?
I don't think so. No.
Can we, okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion is carried.
May I make one more comment about the discards though?
Yes, ma'am.
These books do get another life. Most of them lived a very happy life on the shelves and they get discarded because they were well loved and checked out and falling to pieces. And then we discard them and we put them on our second chance giveaway tables and other people pick them up. So they're not going to the trash can, they're getting a second life and going to a home.
Thank you.
Or other people, organizations, nonprofits come up and pick up boxes.
Thank you. So next on our agenda is discussion of timeline and preliminary strategy for hiring process of a new library director. So we do have our ad hoc search committee for our search, and Dr. Petrie has been named as chair of that committee, and we also have Ms. Armbruster who will be serving on that committee as well. And we have a couple of others that'll be on this committee. Ms. Dawn Williams, a member of UL Lafayette's faculty, College of Education. Ms. Terry Trahan will also be on this committee. She's a former school librarian. And so currently, Dr. Petrie is putting together a timeline for the search, so we'll be able to know from point A to point A to the end of that, what that'll look like. So as soon as the first meeting is scheduled, we will put that on our website and announce it to the public. Ms. Rosenbaum.
How are these meetings handled? Are they handled in public, like other committee meetings? So anyone from the community is invited, and can they submit questions?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I served on the last search committee, and it was in this room, in the public. We brainstormed amongst, of course, the committee members, and then also from members in attendance as well.
Okay.
It would be comparable to like these meetings, but we have to give public notice.
Okay.
Yes, public notice has to be given, same as this, 24 hours is subject to the same meetings laws. And then, I'm sorry, forgive me. May I be recognized?
Yes, Mr. Judge.
Okay. I was just, yes, so it follows the same procedure. So the committee will, any meetings that the committee has is open to the public for, to be here and to listen and to ask questions, absolutely. With the same stipulations as anybody would speak here.
Do I have this right, that the audience is, usually doesn't ask questions unless we make a motion on something? Is that how things work?
Right, you're talking about public comment?
Yeah, public comment.
Public comment must be taken before the vote on any action item.
Okay, if we're not gonna be voting on anything, but public does have comments, can we allow them to
You
say
can put an
something?
agenda item, this committee is no different under the law than the board.
Oh, no, I mean tonight.
Oh, well, yeah, if someone signed up for public comment on this, we can.
If there's a motion and a second before a vote, then they can speak on that item. That's my understanding. If not, then there's nothing to discuss because there's no motion before the board. And then at the end, it says public comments on library business, which is not an agenda item. That would be on other matters that the board has to deal with that haven't been placed on the agenda.
But if it is on the agenda tonight, they won't be able to make a comment about it?
That's correct.
Do we have any, do we have public comment for that one?
We do, but it's only if you make a motion.
I don't think we will be making a motion.
Why wouldn't we make a motion if we're trying to?
The committees, the ad hoc committee is appointed by the president, which was me at the time. So the committee was already appointed and the members of the committee are there. So there's nothing for the board to do. That's the bylaws, that's how the bylaws work.
It was mostly placed as an announcement to the public and if the board wanted to discuss anything about it, but there weren't any planned motions or anything that I was aware of.
So this is just a matter of.
It's an announcement to the board and the public. Yes, ma'am. So hearing no other board comments, next on our agenda is election of officers. Board will take action to fill the vacancy of the office of Library Board President for the remainder of the 2022-2023 unexpired term. Ms. Arsimon.
The term ends in November, so when we come back in November, we will have a re-election for a president and a vice president, correct?
That is incorrect.
Correct. Well,
The term ends October 30th.
Yes.
And so October meeting would actually be the election for the new term for next year.
Which starts in October?
And no, at the October meeting, that's when you elect the officers of president and vice president for the next year. And that they take office on November 1st. So this would be the election to fill the vacancy of the board president would be from basically now until October 30th. First.
Halloween midnight.
Yeah, I should remember that day actually.
Ms. Armbruster.
Thank you. Ms. Bate, can you just clarify, make sure that we're doing this correctly for the officers? My understanding is that someone makes a nomination and you don't have to have a second. You just, if anybody else has, all nominations are put out.
Mm-hmm.
And then when there's a roll call vote, each person can go if there's more than one person to vote on. And they say the name of the person. That's how I understand it to be.
That's my recollection of how we did it last year for our official elections.
Did from Robert's.
Ms. Arsimon.
Okay, well then I'd like to make a motion that James be board president.
Nominate.
Oh, excuse me, nominate James Thomas for president to serve the term from now, September the 18th through October the 31st, 2023.
I nominate Daniel Kelly.
Any other nominations? Okay. Well, do we have any other comment?
Lynette Mejia.
Lynette Mejia, Lafayette Parish. I'll just be very brief. Daniel, I know you have the best of intentions, but I think we can all agree that James has more experience with parliamentary procedure. And so I really think that he would make a better president. He knows how motions work. He knows how, the process works for running a meeting. He has lots of experience with how these meetings go. So I would encourage you to vote for James. Thank you.
Ann Swanson.
All right. So before before I say who I'm supporting, I did want to just say when I got off work today, I went home, I watered my plants, I talked to my husband, I got myself ready, and then now I'm here just feeling a lot more relaxed. So I want to thank you all again for pushing back at the meeting time. And I'm also here in support of James Thomas. And like Lynette said, I don't know you as well, but at the same time, we've seen James has been acting president. He chaired last board meeting. It was a big one. And I think everyone in this whole room felt heard. I think everyone felt respected. And when people feel heard and when people feel respected, it really goes a long way to creating an atmosphere that's productive, and that's what was created. So 2 things. 1, I thank you for doing that. And 2, I think we need more of it. And so I would love to see the full board support James. So thank you.
Pablo Mejia.
I'll be brief. I think that Mr. Thomas has experience from his time already serving as vice president and his time on the board, plus his time on committees, on the North Regional Exploratory Committee. I think that, as was previously stated, the last board meeting was a pretty significant one. A lot of things happened, a lot of discourse on topics. It was run very smoothly, without any of the issues that have come up in previous board meetings. I think that's a testament to Mr. Thomas's ability to run that meeting well. Nothing against Mr. Kelly. I think you've done a good job so far. But I just think in particular there is no need to rush to make a change between now and October 31st. That just seems pointless in my mind. So I would urge you to just continue with things as they are now. Thank you.
Melanie Chopin.
Melanie Champagne. No profound comments of disappointment tonight, so I'm excited about that. To echo the last meeting, I really, on contrary, just want to say how impressive the last meeting was, and I really appreciate, we all really appreciate the vibe of the meeting under James. So huge, sincere thank you. There's a general relief in the community now that the ongoing discord surrounding policies has calmed, and I really do think that is a lot of that appreciation does go to the order and the leadership of James. Sincere thank you. I also really appreciate those of you who sit at the table and meeting after meeting, conduct yourself with library meeting professionalism. Those of you who make eye contact with concerned citizens, it does not go unnoticed. I do appreciate those who are not on their phone during public comments. I do ask that you treat the new library director so we don't have more discord, with respect, trust, appreciation, instead of aggression. And also, to end on a positive note, might I ask that the war on displays come to an end? My 7-year-old is really excited to see the spooky books around the season of Halloween. So I would like to see those return, because displays celebrate books, and I'd like to see that spirit of celebration return to our library.
Claire Delcom.
Claire Delcom, Lafayette. I like the idea of having James Thomas become president of the board. He's had the experience and been vice president for about a year, right? So might as well go with it. He's earned that position. I also think that Daniel will be a wonderful vice president in that situation. And it looks like you could be a good team with each other. I appreciate that. And that's about it. I just want you to work fairly towards the goals of meeting the needs of the American Library Association and resist censorship, because libraries are not supposed to be places where there is censorship, and we need to separate church and state. Thank you.
That's all public comments.
Thank you. Any other board member comments? Okay, we'll call for the vote. Ms. Armbruster.
Daniel Kelly.
Mr. Kelly.
Myself.
Ms. Arsenal.
James Thomas.
I'll vote for James Thomas. Mr. Padron.
Daniel Kelly.
Mr. Childers.
Daniel Kelly.
Congratulations, Mr. Kelly. And thank y'all for your comments. So next on our agenda is announcements. A reminder that the next library board meeting will be Monday, October 16, 2023. And reminder that our yearly ethics training and preventing sexual harassment training must be completed before December 31st, 2023. And do we have comments from the public on any library business which is not on our agenda?
Claire Delcom.
I'll pass.
Mary Liv Garcia.
Garcia. When I lived in Texas, I was Garcia. Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Kelly. Mr. Thomas, thank you for your year of service as Vice President, and hopefully you'll continue in that position. I have just a few little quick notes. First of all, I've noticed that you've pulled the armed policeman from the front of the room to the rear, and I want to thank you for that. It presents a much more hospitable environment, less threatening for everyone. But secondarily, I would like you to ask you to, at some point, consider saving those dollars, and we have a policeman downstairs, and not having police in the room at all. So that's just something for you to think about. Secondly, I would like to ask, because there's so much interest in the land purchase and the building of the new library, that you add as a standing agenda item to include an update on where that is tonight, since it's so soon. After the decision of the board last week, there was nothing to report, but I think it would be a really helpful thing for the public to have that as a standing item. Third, there is a need for articulation of a policy about books that are missing from the library. I've asked many times, when books are checked out and they're not returned, are those books replaced? and I've been told, well, we give people maybe 6 months. We fine them, and if they don't return them or pay their fines within a certain period of time, that they lose their library privileges. I think that policy, if it's articulated in a clear way, I'd like to know what that is, because I haven't been able to find it. And if there isn't a policy, I think you need to have one. And then fourth, Dr. Petrie will chair the committee. I understood that he had resigned, so he's chairing the committee as a member of the community. Excuse me. Is that correct? Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Mr. Thomas? Yeah.
That's on Russo.
Thank you. Ms. Curcio, I believe Mr. Angel did give an update on the property, for the new property, and I assume that he's going to do one at every meeting. So if you have any questions, maybe you can ask him. You may have missed it or listen to
Okay,
it.
well, I just think that keeping it present every meeting would be very helpful. There's a lot of interest.
Okay. Everybody have a good night. This meeting is adjourned.